When we're talking about transactional databases, we have lots of different ways we can organize the data, but we want to organize the data for transactional databases in a way that minimizes the duplication of the data. By minimizing the duplication of the data, that is, by storing the parent name only once and storing the student name only once, it does make it harder to get data out of the system. If you continue on with the WIS400 Advanced Database Design course, one of the things we'll discuss in that course is the design of data warehouses. When we design data warehouses, we design those in a way to make it easy to get the data out. But for transactional databases, which we're concentrating on in this class, we want to design them in a way to make it easy to store the data once and only once in the database. Several of you noted that we had some security issues with the database. And what we'll be learning later in this course is that we can restrict what different users of the data can see. So we can allow certain columns to be seen by certain users and certain rows to be seen by certain users. So if we think about, for instance, the gradebook that's in Blackboard, that's essentially a big database. The only grades that I see are the grades for the student in my class. So I'm restricted to certain rows in the Blackboard database, that is the rows for the students taking this class. You're only allowed to see the row associated with you. So the gradebook within Blackboard restricts the data to certain rows. It's also very common in databases to restrict the columns that people can see. So for instance, we can set it up so that the English teacher only sees the English grades and the math teacher only sees the math grades. And as several of you noted, we want the soccer teacher, or the soccer coach rather, to only see the grades associated with the students that are actually on the soccer team. One of the things that I wanted to point out is the third table, the so-called student parent table. Essentially, that's just a cross-reference of what students are associated with what parents. It's called an association table, and we need to have an association table in our databases if a student can have more than one parent and a parent can have more than one student. So by setting up this association table, you can see that student ID 21927 has two parents listed, and we have other parents that have multiple students listed. And so the association table doesn't make it harder to do the queries because you have to match three tables together, but it allows us to store the parent information only once and the student information only once. Now this isn't actually the final best design of a database. I'll talk about what some better designs are in future videos.